everyone, welcome to today's video tutorial and walkthrough of Laguna the Crab from LYKKE's AMITAMI kits. I have everything we need for today's video laid out in front of us that is included in your kit, and I wanted to go over them really quick with you before we jump into the tutorial. So first and foremost, here we do have our instructions. I will be going step by step through these with you, but if you want to follow along with me, they are all listed here, and we're going to start at the body and work our way down. We also have our main color, which is going to be our red today, as well as color A, which is going to be white, and color B, which is going to be black. A little bit of both of those. We have our crochet hook. For today's video, we're using a 2.5 millimeter, and we have the perfect amount of stuffing for our Laguna, as well as a stitch marker to mark the end of every single round, and a tapestry needle to weave in all of our ends. So that's everything we need in order to complete Laguna, and let's get started on working the first rounds. Before we get started, the last note about the instructions I want to make is there are also some tables and some diagrams on the instructions if you want to take a look at those. There's a table for abbreviations, a table for basic conversion, and then also a diagram for magic ring, which we're about to do in one moment, and front and back loop. Of course, I will be showing you all of this in more detail as we work through the tutorial, but if you're more visual and you want to check it out there, it is listed for you there. So now, without further ado, let's get into working Laguna's round one. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are going to learn how to do a magic ring, because for the body, which is where we're going to start our crab, it says for round one, with the main color, make a magic ring and make 6 single crochets into the ring, tug the tail to tighten, and mark the last stitch of the round. So in order to do that, we need to know how to make our magic ring. Now, magic ring is the most challenging part of this whole tutorial, so just stick with me here. I'll show you how to do it, and if it's a little bit too tricky, that's totally okay too. I do have a little bit of a hack for you that you can use, but I would highly encourage you give this a try and see if you can do it with me. So in order to start our magic ring, the first thing we need to do is place 2 fingers out, being our index finger and our middle finger, and we want to take that yarn and drape it over those 2 fingers with the yarn tail down by our middle finger and then the working yarn up by the index finger. Take your thumb and hold that yarn tail in place while we take the working side of the yarn and wrap it around our fingers, coming back up over the index finger and creating a crisscross or an X like that. Then we can turn our hand, and with our ring finger, let's grab that yarn. We're going to hold that yarn in place with our ring finger while we work this next step. Now take the crochet hook with the hook side facing downwards like this. We're going to go under that first strand, grabbing that second strand of yarn and pulling it back under the first strand, just like that. Then turn that crochet hook towards you. We're twisting the hook a little bit, so now the hook is facing towards us, and slide it over to that working yarn right here. Once you're here, we can go ahead and scoop up that loop of working yarn, and let's pull it through that hole that is on our hook, just like that, and we have made our magic ring. Now, what makes the magic ring a magic ring is that we have this loop here, and when we pull this yarn tail, it is going to close up, kind of working like magic. It'll cinch all of our stitches together into a nice circle. So let's try that one more time. All right, placing our 2 fingers out and draping the yarn over. We're going to hold that in place with our thumb, give it a wrap around to the front, and create an X over our index finger. Holding that yarn tail with our ring finger, we're taking that hook, hook side down, and going under that first strand, grabbing that second strand and pulling it back under the first strand. Give that hook a twist, so now the hook is facing towards us. Slide the crochet hook over to the working yarn. We'll scoop up that working yarn and we'll pull it through that loop that's already on our hook, and we have created again our magic ring. So if that was a little bit, again, too much instruction, too complicated, that is totally fine. Don't worry, I again have a little bit of a hack for you. So something else you can do, it'll also make a circle, is you can go ahead and create your slip knot, just a regular slip knot, and from here you can chain up 4. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now from this chain 4, you can go ahead and into that first chain that we've made closest to the slip knot, we can slip stitch into that chain, and that is going to create a very small hole. Now the hole is very difficult to see on camera, but you can work all your stitches into that hole as well. The only difference here is that there is no adjustability, so it is stuck at this size. That's never usually an issue, but just something I wanted to tell you if you're going to use this method of the chain 4 slip stitch. So you can use whichever one works best for you. I'm going to go ahead and make that magic ring for myself. And once you meet me back here, we now need to place 6 single crochets into that ring. So when it says into the ring, that means we need to take our crochet hook, go into the circle, scoop up our yarn, pull the loop up, yarn over, and pull through. And that's going to be 1 single crochet. We need to be working over both of these strands every single time. So let's do that again. Into the circle, grab the yarn, pull it up, yarn over, pull through, 2. And again, we have 3, and we'll have 4 here, 5, and 6. Now we have 6 single crochets worked onto our magic ring. Now from here, if you've made the magic ring, you can go ahead and take that yarn tail, tug it tight. It's going to pull all those stitches closed, and now we have a little bit of a circle going here. So this is when we'll take our stitch marker, we'll place it in that last stitch of the round. That'll mark the end of round 1, and that'll be very useful for us as we continue to work up more rounds and our project gets larger and larger. So from here we can begin round 2, and round 2 is an increase in every stitch all the way around. So we'll bring our stitch count up from 6 all the way to 12. An increase now is just 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So into this first stitch we have made, we're going to go ahead and put 1 single crochet into there. Just like that. And now in order to make it an increase, we're just going to put another single crochet into there. And now we have 2 single crochet in 1 stitch, and we have our first increase. So let's do that again. Into the next stitch, 1 single crochet, and into the same stitch, another single crochet. 2 single crochet per stitch. One more time, into the next stitch, 1 single crochet, into the same stitch, 1 single crochet. Now we've done that 3 times. Go ahead and do that 3 more times. I'll meet you back at the stitch marker and we'll begin round 3. Okay, so I've just made my last stitch of round 2, and I'm going to take my stitch marker and place it now in that new last stitch. We'll move it up every single round just like that. So that's the end of round 2. Now round 3, we have something a little bit different. So for round 3, it says 1 single crochet in the next stitch and 1 increase in the next stitch, 6 times in a row to get to 18 single crochet. So in order to do that, now we're just going to place a single crochet in between those increase stitches. So into that first stitch, we're making 1 single crochet, just like that. Into the next stitch, we're making 2 single crochet, so an increase. 2 single crochet in 1 stitch, and that's the sequence. So let's do that again. 1 single crochet in the first stitch, into the next stitch, 2 single crochet. And now we've done that 2 times. So we needed to do a total of 6 times, so work that 4 more times by yourself. I'll meet you back and we'll begin round 4 together. Okay, good job there. Now let's begin round 4. So now we're going to add another regular single crochet in between those increases, and this pattern is going to continue as we build our Laguna out. So let's work this next one together, which is going to be 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then an increase 6 times to get our new stitch count to 24. Into the first stitch, we have 1 single crochet. There we go. Into the next stitch, 1 single crochet again, and then into that following stitch, 2 single crochet. So that's the sequence for round 4. One more time with you. 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 2 single crochets into the third stitch. All right, go ahead and repeat that all the way around. I'll meet you back at the stitch marker and we'll begin round 5 together. Now for round 5, the instructions read 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, then an increase 6 times to get our new stitch count to 30. So into the first stitch, 1 single crochet, into the next stitch, 1 single crochet, into the third stitch, 1 single crochet, and of course then into that 4th stitch we're going to make our increase. Go ahead and repeat that sequence 5 more times all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the stitch marker for round 6. Alright, for round 6 we're going to bring our stitch count up to 36 now. So 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches, then an increase 6 times around, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And of course, then into that last stitch here of the sequence, we do an increase. All right, you'll repeat that all the way around. I'll see you back at the stitch marker for round 7. Now for round 7, I'm sure you can guess what we're going to be doing. 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches, and then an increase 6 times for a new stitch count of 42. So again, let's begin this round together. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochet, and then an increase. That's the sequence for round 7. I will meet you back at the stitch marker and we'll start round 8 together. For round 8, let's increase again. 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches, then an increase 6 times around to get our new stitch count to 48. So I have, let's see, how many have I done already? I can't multitask. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then an increase. That is the sequence for round 8. I'll meet you back at the stitch marker after you complete that 6 times and we'll begin the next round together. All right, that's the end of round 8. Now for round 9, we're going to keep our stitch count at 48. All we're going to do for this round is make 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around, so no increasing at all. Go ahead and work that 1 single crochet in every stitch. I'll meet you back at the stitch marker and then we will begin round 10 together. All right, very good. That was the end of round 9. Now round 10 is back to our increasing, so 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches, then an increase 6 times. We're going to get our stitch count all the way up to 54 at the end of this round, and that'll be the largest Laguna ends up being. So go ahead and make your 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches and then an increase. I will meet you back here after you complete that sequence 6 times, and we have 54 single crochets. Okay, great work there. So now we have reached a set of repeat rounds, which means the next 6 rounds, rounds 11 through 16, are going to be all of the exact same thing. So what you're going to be doing is just making 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around, just like we did in round 9. No increasing here at all, just 1 single crochet in every stitch. Make sure as you work these repeat rounds, you are moving that stitch marker after every single round so you don't lose track of where you are. And then also I would recommend on like a scrap piece of paper or on the instructions, making a little tally mark for yourself every time you complete a round so you don't lose track. It's very easy to lose track of where you are. So go ahead and work those 6 rounds of 54 single crochet per round, and I'll meet you back here. We're gonna start to begin to decrease Laguna, so I'll see you in just a little while. All right, welcome back. I have just worked my 6 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch for 54 stitches per round. And as you can see, we definitely have this more bowl shape going on right now, which is exactly what we want. This is the top of Laguna's head, and we are going to start decreasing and working it down right now. So let's do the first round of decreasing together, and then we'll stuff his body a little bit and continue on. So for round 17, we're going to be working in the back loop only, which we have not done yet, and our instructions are 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches, then a decrease 6 times because we're going to go back down to 48 single crochets. Now we haven't done a decrease either, so let's do both of those. So when we're working a back loop, what that means is we are typically used to working through both the front and back loop, so that entire V is on our hook when we're working that stitch. But when we are working the front or back loop, we are either working in the front loop, which is the loop closest to us here, so just the 1 bar of that V, or in this case the back loop, so that back bar of the V there. We're going to work in just that 1 single strand instead of, again, through both like that. So into that back strand there, let's make 1 single crochet. Now everything past that is the same, we just want to make sure we are just working in the back bar of the V. And let's do it again. We have 1 single crochet in that back one again, so that's 2. And let's continue that all the way down. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So every stitch is in that back loop. And you can kind of see now we have created a little bit of a line here or a ridge, and that's how you know you are working properly in the back loop. So good job there. Now we need to do a decrease. So let's learn how to do a decrease. A decrease is just taking 2 of these single crochet stitches and making them into 1. So in order to do that, we're going to enter our first stitch, just the back bar again of the V. we're going to grab our loop and pull it up. Now this is where we typically yarn over and finish our stitch for a single crochet, but instead of doing that, we're going to take our crochet hook, swing it over into the next stitch, again just the back bar there, and we'll grab another loop and pull it up with the hook there. Now we have 3 loops on the hook, which is exactly what we want for a decrease. Yarn over now and pull through. There we go. We have now made 2 stitches into 1 stitch. So we can do that one more time together. Let's continue working in that back bar only for these stitches. So we have 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, 3 single crochet, 4 single crochet, 5, 6, and 7 here. Now let's do another decrease together. So again, over the next 2 stitches into that first stitch, back loop only, grabbing a loop, pulling it up, 2 loops on the hook, swing our hook over to that next stitch, and we grab another loop. We pull it up, we have 3 loops on the hook, perfect, yarn over, pull through. Another decrease. So now we've done that sequence 2 times, do it 4 more times. So we have 6 times total, and we'll be down to our 48 stitches, and then we'll add some stuffing into Laguna. So I'll meet you back here when we finish this entire round working in the back loop only. All right, we've just completed round 17 in the back loop only. Now we can take this loop on our hook, let's pull it up a little bit so we don't lose our stitch, because we're going to start stuffing Laguna. So with our little bowl here and our stuffing here, I like to take it apart and kind of pull it apart in my hands like this before stuffing it into the body. We're just going to lightly stuff right now, because as we continue closing up the hole here, we can add more, and we don't want to be overfilling because it will make it challenging to work our single crochets into the stitches if the stuffing is everywhere. So I'm going to stop right here. That's okay for now. Push this all aside, and let's add our crochet hook back onto our project. So we'll put our hook back on that giant loop we've made, and on the working yarn side we can pull it closed. Just like that. And now we are back attached and ready to begin round 18. So for round 18, 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches, then a decrease 6 times for 42 single crochets. So now we can begin working back through both the front and back loop of the stitch again. So we don't need to be worrying about back loop any longer. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 here. Then a decrease over these next 2 stitches. Again, that is going into that first stitch. Now we're going through the entire stitch instead of just the back loop, of course. Pulling up a loop into the next stitch through the entire stitch, pulling up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, pull through. There we go. That's the sequence for round 18. Go ahead and work that 5 more times. I will meet you back at the stitch marker, and we'll begin round 19 together. All right, so that is the end of round 18. We are ready to begin round 19. You're going to start to see a very similar pattern to when we were increasing. We were putting a single crochet in between those increase stitches. We're going to do the same thing by taking a stitch away from the decrease. So for round 19, we're going to work 5 single crochets before the decrease. So let's start that together. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and last one here, number 5. Perfect. And over the next 2 stitches, we will create our first decrease of this round. Remember, we have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through. So that's the sequence for round 19. Go ahead and complete that all the way around. We're going to go down to just 36 single crochets, and then we'll begin round 20 together. That's the end of round 19. Now round 20, let's continue that decreasing pattern. So for round 20, 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches, then a decrease. We're going to bring our stitch count down to 30 now. So we have 1, 2, and 3, 4, and over the next 2 stitches, our first decrease of this round. There we go, that's our repeat sequence. So I will see you at the end of round 20. We'll begin round 21 together. All right, that is the end of round 20. Now for round 21, we're going to continue that way of decreasing, where we're going to be doing 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches and then a decrease. We're going to do that 6 times around to bring our stitch count down to just 24. So we have 1, 2, and 3 right here. Then let's decrease, And that is our repeat sequence for round 21. So go ahead and repeat that 5 more times all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. We'll begin the next round together. Okay, so for round 22, let's continue our method of decreasing by doing 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, then a decrease. We'll do this 6 times to get our stitch count down to just 18. So our circle is going to start getting a lot smaller. We have 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and then a decrease. That's the sequence. Go ahead and repeat that 5 more times, and then we'll come back for round 23. Okay, I just finished round 22. As you can see, our hole, as I mentioned, is a lot smaller now. So we are going to work our last round, round 23. But before we do that, let's pull our loop up a little bit on our crochet hook again to give us some room here, because I'm going to finish stuffing Laguna. It's not nearly as stuffed as I'd like it to be. You do want it to be firm, just not overstuffed, as I mentioned. So again, pulling some of this apart and just pushing this down into the body. We want to make sure we get this nice and firm into our liking. So let me finish stuffing this up. I'll be right back and we'll finish off this last round of his body together. Okay, so hopefully you can tell that my crab is much more stuffed now, and I'm even going to do a little bit more after this last round, but I want to work the last round first. So let's add our crochet hook back onto our loop and pull our loop snug again. Let's complete the last round of the body. The last round is 1 single crochet decrease in every stitch all the way around. So no single crochets in between the stitches. We're going to go from 18 down to 9 stitches. So we're just working decreases back to back. In those first 2 stitches, our first decrease, into the next stitches, the next decrease, and so on all the way around. As you work all these decreases, it's kind of tricky to have all your stitches meet, so you might need to pinch the fabric a little bit just to get it all close enough to work in, because it can be a little bit fiddly. But once we get to our stitch marker, we're going to do something different because we're going to be fastening off now. All right, removing my stitch marker for that last 2 stitches because we don't need to put it back in. And let's do that decrease there. Perfect. So now we have our little small hole of just 9 single crochets. We can actually chain up 1 more, and then we can cut ourselves a tail here because we will use that to weave in all of our ends. So cut yourself a little tail. You can push your yarn aside for a moment, and you'll want to take your crochet hook and pull it straight up and have the loop come off of the hook just like that. That's exactly what you want. So now we need to thread our yarn with our tapestry needle and finish stuffing the rest of Laguna. If you need to add any more stuffing, now is the time to do so. So I went ahead and added just the littlest bit more in, and with my tapestry needle threaded, I am ready to begin closing up Laguna. So in order to close this hole up and make it nice and seamless, what I like to do is from this first stitch here I'm going to push my tapestry needle from the outside in towards the stuffing or away from me. And we're going to pull that all the way through. And then into this next stitch, we're going to come from the stuffing side and push the needle towards us. And that's going to be our weaving pattern for the entire circle. So the next stitch goes away from us. That'll be number 3. And the next stitch for number 4 comes towards us. Watch out for that stuffing. You don't want it to come through, just like that just did there. Push it back in there. And then for number 5, we'll go out away from us. And number 6 towards us. Couple more times left. Away. Towards us. And away again. Okay, now we are ready to cinch up our hole. So all we have to do is pull our yarn tail, and it's going to close that circle up nice and tight for us there, just like that. And now you can't even tell where we ended off our round. That's exactly what we want. And now we just need to weave this little tail through a couple times just to hide it and really secure it into our project. There's no rhyme or reason to how you weave this tail in. Whatever works for you will work just fine. You just want to do it a couple of times so it won't come unraveled. And once you feel like it's nice and secure, I like to push it through a very random spot on the project. For me, it's just going to pop out right over here on the side of the crab's body, which is totally fine. And we can cut our little tail here. That'll just keep the yarn tails from flying out of our project down in this area here. It's nice and hidden in the body. So that is our crab's body. It is all done, and this is the biggest part of the project. So now we are actually going to put our red yarn aside for a moment. We're going to work some eye sockets with color A, which is going to be our white yarn. All right, so let's make some eye sockets. I have grabbed my color A, otherwise known as white, and we are ready to begin. So we're going to start with the magic ring, or you can start with that chain 4 slip stitch if that was the method you were using. And we're going to go ahead and again place 6 single crochets into this magic ring the same way we started the body. All right, if you made the magic ring, you can go ahead and tug your tail to tighten here. And of course, don't forget to add that stitch marker to the last stitch of the round. And for round 2, we're going to make an increase in every stitch. So let's bring our stitch count up from 6 single crochet all the way up to 12. So go ahead and put 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around until we have 12 stitches. I will meet you back at the stitch marker and we'll begin round 3. Okay, we have 12 single crochet, and now for rounds 3 through 5, so 3 rounds total, make 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. No increasing or decreasing. We're keeping our stitch count at 12. I will see you back here at the end of the 3 rounds, and we will begin the last round of the eye socket, which is going to be round 6. So I'll see you in just a moment once we have those 3 rounds completed. Okay, I've just worked my 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. I'm going to pull up my loop on my hook really quickly, and we do need to stuff the eye socket just a little bit. So you just need the tiniest amount of stuffing here. I'm just going to poke it in with my crochet hook. Just enough here. Perfect, just like that. And actually this yarn tail we have here from the inside where we started our magic ring, I'm going to snip that off just to make it a little bit easier for myself. And now let's close up this eye socket together. So cinch your crochet hook back down to your project, and let's begin the final round, round 6. So round 6 is a decrease in every stitch 6 times. So we're going to have a stitch count of 6 total. So into that first stitch, a decrease. And again, we're familiar with doing this from working the body. Next stitch is also a decrease, and there's no single crocheting in between these, it's just decreases. And last one, gotta remove this little stitch marker to put that last decrease in, and we do not need to put that back because we are through with the eye socket. So there we go. Once we've finished that up, we can go ahead and chain up 1 and cut ourselves a little tail because we will sew this onto Laguna's body later. There we go. And remember just to pull your loop up and off the hook. That is our eye socket all finished. You go ahead and make 1 more of those. We will meet back up to do the leg together. Now that we're going to work the legs, we're going to go back to our red yarn here, and we're going to need to make 6 of these. So the first one you and I will make together, and then we'll need to make 5 more on our own. So it says with our main color, our red, make a magic ring again, or you can make your chain 4 slip stitch and go ahead and put 6 single crochets into that, and I will meet you back once we have those single crochets in and our last stitch of the round marked. Now that all of my single crochets for round 1 are in and my stitch marker, we can move on to round 2. Round 2 is 1 single crochet in the next stitch and increase in the next stitch 3 times, so we are going to actually go up to a stitch count of 9. So let's get right on that. First stitch, 1 single crochet, next stitch, and increase. That's the sequence for round 2. So we need 3 times total. Do that 2 more times. I will meet you back at the stitch marker and we'll begin round 3. And now we're moving on to rounds 3 through 5. So 3 rounds total. Make 1 single crochet in the next 9 stitches. There will be no increasing or decreasing again here. After those 3 rounds, we are going to lightly stuff the leg and then fasten off. So I'll see you back after those 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, and we'll fasten off together. I just finished my 3 rounds of a 1 single crochet in every stitch, so I will chain up 1 to fasten off as we are used to. Cut yourself a nice little tail to sew on to the body later, and remember to pull that loop up and off your hook. Now last step of this little leg is to stuff it. So I'm going to take the end of my crochet hook, and again just the tiniest amount of stuffing here. This is actually even probably more than I need, and I'll just place it on top. And then with my crochet hook, I'm going to stuff it down in there. This is just easier for me. You can use your finger if you want, but for me, I like to use the hook. It gets it nice and stuffed and gets all those little strands out of the way. So there we have it. One of our legs is done. Go ahead and take a moment to make 5 more legs, so you have 6 in total, and then we'll meet back up to make our last piece of Laguna, which is going to be the claws, and then we'll start assembling. So very excited. I'll meet you back here after we have our 6 legs completed. All right, who is ready to start the claw, which is our last piece we need to make? We will need to make 2 of these, so the first one I'll do with you, the second one we'll make on our own with our main color again, our red. Go ahead, and I know I'm a broken record, but make your magic ring or your chain 4 slip stitch, put your 6 single crochets into that ring, and I'll meet you back here once we have that done and our last stitch of the round is marked. All right, we are ready to start round 2. Round 2 is 1 single crochet in the next stitch, increase in the next stitch 3 times for a total of 9 single crochet. So into that first stitch, we'll make 1 single crochet. And then into our next stitch, we're going to do an increase 3 times total. So that's 1 time through. Do that 2 more times. I'll meet you back at the stitch marker and we'll begin round 3 together. So now we're going to begin round 3 and we're going to bring our stitch count from 9 up to 12 single crochet. So to do that, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, an increase in the next stitch, and a single crochet in the next stitch 3 times for 12 single crochet. So that means into that first stitch, place 1 single crochet. Into your next stitch, we're going to do an increase, so 2 single crochets in that stitch, and into that following stitch, 1 single crochet, and that's the sequence for round 3. So one more time, 1 single crochet in the first stitch, increase over the next stitch, 2 single crochet in that stitch, and finishing that off with 1 single crochet in that last stitch. Go ahead and do that one more time and then we'll begin round 4. Awesome. Now for round 4, we're going to increase again. So we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, then an increase 3 times to get to 15 single crochets. So let's begin that together. We have 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and whoops, finishing off here with 3 single crochet. Then we do our increase, which is 2 single crochet in 1 stitch. Perfect. Go ahead and do that 2 more times. I'll meet you back at the stitch marker for the next round. Now for our next round, round 5 and 6, we are going to do 2 repeat rounds of 1 single crochet in each stitch. No increasing or decreasing, so go ahead and work those 2 rounds of 1 single crochet in each stitch, and I will see you back here for the next round. All right, great job there. So now we have round 7. We have something a little bit different for round 7. So we need to make a bobble stitch in the next stitch and then a single crochet in the next 2 stitches and a decrease. Then we'll do a single crochet in the next 3 stitches and a decrease 2 times. So a lot of instructions there. We're going to go through this step by step. So let's begin with our bobble stitch. So to do a bobble stitch, first yarn over. So we have a yarn over before we start, and we're going to enter our stitch and pull up a loop. We have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over again, keep those 3 loops and enter that stitch another time, that same stitch. All right, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over one more time and enter the stitch one last time, pulling up a loop one more time. With all these loops on our hook, we're going to yarn over and pull through all of them. And that'll create a little bump, a little bobble stitch is what it's called, and that's kind of going to be the part of the claw, like the, maybe it's called a thumb, I guess, of the claw. I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, that is going to be our bobble stitch. So good job there. And now we need to make 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So let's do that. And these will just work as normal. Your bobble stitch will stick out after you make that single crochet after, which is exactly what we want. So good job with that. And after those 2 single crochet, we need to now make a decrease. So remember, a decrease is into that first stitch, then into the second stitch with 3 loops on our hook. We yarn over and we pull through, just like that. So now we're halfway through round 7, and our last set of instructions is to make 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches and a decrease. We'll do this 2 times. So let's begin that together. Whoop, caught my little stitch marker there. That's no good. So we have 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and 3, and a decrease. Make that into these 2 stitches, just like that, and we'll finish off by doing that just one more time here. So we have 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, and then a decrease. So I'll just remove my little stitch marker to work that last decrease, and then we are back to the beginning of the round, just like that. So I'll put my little stitch marker back in there, and now we can actually begin stuffing the claw because we just have a couple rounds left of the claw. So pull our loop up and off the hook, and let's add some stuffing into here. Just do a little bit at a time. You can use your hook, you can use your finger, whichever is working best for you. I am actually going to stop it at that. That's plenty for me at the moment, and I can always add a little bit more if I would like to. Let's add our crochet hook back on to the loop, and let's continue on. So now for round 8, we need to make a single crochet decrease 6 times in a row. So we are not going to be doing any single crochets in between stitches here. So with this bobble stitch, now my stitch marker is kind of in the way. Hold on, let me flip that over. There we go. With the bobble stitch, you can see our stitch is like just the slightest bit elevated here. We're just going to work it as normal. So let's make our first decrease over that stitch and the stitch next to it, and close that up for our decrease there. And then we'll just go ahead and work this 5 more times over all of these stitches until we just have 6 stitches left. So I'll meet you back at the stitch marker, and we'll begin the next set of rounds together. If you want to add any more stuffing, now is your last chance. So I just added the slightest bit more just to add a little bit more volume to that claw. And now for rounds 9 and 10, we're going to do 2 rounds of repeat, and we're going to work 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches all the way around, and then we'll fasten off. So super small little circumference here, but go ahead and work your 2 rounds of 6 single crochet, and then we'll fasten off together. Just finished round 9 and 10, and now we can fasten off by chaining up 1, leaving ourselves a nice little tail to sew this on to Laguna's body later. Snip that off and finish off, of course, by pulling the loop up and off the hook. Now go ahead and make 1 more claw, and we'll meet back up and finally start assembling Laguna together. All right, so I've brought all the pieces of Laguna forward, and we are finally ready to begin assembling, which is so exciting. So we are actually going to start off with our little eyes here, and we're going to use color B, which is our black yarn that I have already threaded on to my needle, and we're going to embroider the eyes on round 5 of each eye socket, making 3 stitches in the same place for each eye. So just to make this a little less confusing, I'm going to move all of these red pieces out of the way just for now, and we can actually set the body aside for now as well. So if you remember from when we were making the eye socket, the last round of the eye socket was round 6. So this last round of bumps you see here, that is round 6. So for round 5, it's just the one above it, which is going to be this set of bumps right here. So in order to embroider the eye on, we're going to come from inside of the eye, and we'll poke our needle out at the bottom of round 5 or the top of round 6, whichever way you want to look at it, and pull your yarn tail almost all the way through. We don't need much of a tail here because this is just the end of the working yarn. So now we're going to go into the top of that stitch and come out the bottom of the stitch yet again where we have just put our yarn into, and we can pull that all the way through, and that's 1 line for the eye. So we need to do that 3 times total, so we'll do that 2 more times here. And if you want to make your eye smaller or larger, you are more than welcome to do so. I will probably do mine the 3 times. I think that'll be perfect for me. Let's do that one last time here. And remember, we're just going through the same stitch over and over to thicken up that pupil there. So now we have our eye all set with the 3 stitches. I think that looks perfect for me. So I'm going to take my yarn and push it into that same stitch we just came out of and out the bottom of the project here, because we are done with this eye. So I can go ahead and snip this yarn tail, and I'm going to snip it very, very short so I can push it back up into the project. And with my crochet hook, actually, I'm going to take it and push all these little tails into the eye so it's nice and easy to sew onto the body later. And there we go, we have our one eye set on. So go ahead and complete the same exact process for the other eye socket here, and then we will actually assemble these on to the body of Laguna. Now that we have both of our eyes completed, we're ready to put these on to the body of Laguna. So let's do the first eye together. I did go ahead and thread my white yarn onto my tapestry needle, and I can pull the body of Laguna forward. So it says for the eye sockets to position them on either side of the body between rounds 5 and 7, leaving 12 stitches in between in the front and using the yarn tails to sew them into place. So here we go from the top of the project. Now here you can see this swirl. This is round 1. So we just need to count down from here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is where our eye will start. So let's push our yarn needle in right here, our tapestry needle, just to get that set into place, and this will naturally fall down to round 7. So that works out perfectly for us. And now to really attach this on to the body, we are going to weave this in through every single stitch, every last stitch of the round of the eye socket, and then into the body. So we go through the last round, round 6 of the eye socket, and we'll weave it into the body directly below it, and we'll pull it through. And then we'll repeat this process all the way around, trying to keep the stitches right on top of each other so we don't get some white yarn popping through the sides, and we want to keep them nice and even. There we go again. And we're just going to repeat this process all the way around the body until we've gone around the entire eye and it feels nice and secure into place. Okay, once you feel like your eye is on there nice and snug, stuffing's not going to pop out and it's not going to fall off, we are ready to hide our yarn tail into the project. So now we'll just push our yarn tail into the project and have it come out any which spot. Mine's down here, which is totally fine. We are just going to snip our yarn right at the base of the body here, and this is just going to hide the tail into the project so we don't at any point have it coming out the top over here. We would not want that. So now we'll repeat that same process for the other eye. The only thing we need to do differently now is make sure that it is 12 stitches apart. So we will count from the black part of the eye. I'm just going to go straight down to here and count 12 stitches over. So we have 1 right here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I can just push my little tapestry needle right there just to hold my place until I attach my yarn onto the tapestry needle and sew it into place. When you do this, just make sure your pupils are facing the same way. You don't have wonky eyes or something like this, unless of course that's what you're going for. That's totally fine too. So I'll sew my other eye down while you sew yours, and then we'll meet back up and we'll put the mouth on. So once you have your eyes nice and secured and you're happy with them, we're going to thread a little bit more of white. We're sticking with the white here for just a moment, and let's put the mouth on. So using color A, our white, embroider the mouth on round 6 of the body, making sure it's centered between the eyes. So let's head back up to the top of the project and count ourselves down again. Remember, the middle swirl is 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 is right here. I'm going to go down to the bottom of number 6 so we can actually make the mouth on round 6 here, and you want to find the center. You can count from either side if you'd like, or you can kind of eyeball it. I'm just going to eyeball mine. I think this looks pretty centered for me. And let's go up 1 stitch length, so we're sticking in that round 6 and slightly diagonal to the left. We're going to have our tapestry needle come out slightly to the left side, and we'll pull that just so we have a small yarn tail left. That'll be plenty. I'm going to hold that in place with my thumb, and now we can close up the first half of the mouth here. See that? In order to do that, we just need to push our tapestry needle back through where our yarn tail is coming out of. So we'll push it through, and while we're doing that, we are also going to come out slightly diagonal into the right, staying even with round 6. We want to stay on that same round so it's even on both sides. And you can see that first half of the mouth closes up there. That's perfect. And now we just need to close up the second half by going back into the center here, and let's push it out the back of the project wherever it might come out, and we'll snip that yarn tail off right where it comes out. Snip that there, hide that into the body. And as you can see here from the front, our mouth is all on. So let's just put this yarn tail into the project, and then we can begin putting the legs on. Okay, so now that we have our happy crab here, we're ready to put the feet on, the legs. So I'm going to go ahead and thread one of the legs while I read the instructions. It says position 3 legs on each side of the body between rounds 17 and 19 using the yarn tails to sew them into place. So remember, we do have these all stuffed, and we'll turn our project completely sideways, and I'm just going to sew one on in the front, one on in the middle, and one on in the back. I think that's the easiest way to do it. So if you remember, round 17 is where we work this back loop. So this little ridge line we created, we're going to work off of that, and it'll naturally fall to round 19. So I'm going to do my first one directly in line with the eye. So I'm just going to drag my tapestry needle down until I find that center, and I'll just poke through 1 stitch length here and pull it all the way through. And now I'm going to sew it on. In order to do that, We're just going to do the same thing we did with putting on the eyes. We're going to weave through both the last round of the leg and into the body with every stitch to secure it into place and make sure none of that stuffing is going to pop out at any point. So go ahead and weave every single stitch down until it's nice and secure, and then we'll do the second leg together. I just finished sewing the first leg down, so I'm going to cut my yarn tail where I had it come out a random spot just to make it extra secure. And with my second leg threaded, we're ready to add the second leg on. So let's just go a few stitches in front, and then the next one will be a few stitches in back, so they're about equal on either side. So let's count about 3 maybe. 1, 2, 3, and let's go into that fourth, and we'll go through 1 stitch just like that, pull it through, and then I'll sew it down here. Make sure from the front it looks cute, and it does. Again, going to do the same exact process of going through every last stitch of round 6 of the leg and into the body every single time. Secure this one on, and then let's place the last one on together, and then you'll do the other side by yourself. All right, second leg secured. Let's finish the last one for the left side. It's already threaded and we're ready to go. So we have 1, 2, 3, and it was the 4th stitch. So we'll go through 1 single crochet length of the 4th, place that one down, and we'll secure it down. Again, of course, doing it the same way we've done the other 2 legs, securing every stitch of the last round of the leg and onto the body. After you secure this one, go ahead and repeat the exact same process on the other side, and then we'll meet back up and we'll finish up by putting the claws on. All right, I went ahead and put all 6 of my legs on. They're nice and even at the bottom here, and I did go ahead and put 1 claw on because I wondered if it would be helpful for you to see one while we do one, because this is our last step. So I have my second claw threaded. You thread your first one, and we need to go ahead and place the claw on either side of the body between rounds 15 and 16, leaving 15 stitches in between them from the front. So for my first one, I just went from my eye directly down, and that's where I placed my first one where it looked correct. So from this one, I'm going to count 15 over. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And this is where we're going to start the second claw. Now also keep in mind, this is round 17, this little ridge line we have, so 16 and 15 is going to be the 2 above. That's where we're going to stay between. And I'm just going to go ahead and enter through 1 stitch length over here to put my claw on. Also keeping in mind that you want those bobble stitches facing inward towards each other, since those are kind of like the opening and closing of the claw. You can see I got my other bobble stitch over here. So I do have this one anchored down, and now I just need to sew it down a couple of times. Again, very similar to how we have been sewing all of our other pieces down through the last rounds of single crochet and then through the body. Go ahead and secure this claw down, and then go ahead and do your other one 15 stitches apart or wherever looks right to you. And then we'll take one final look at Laguna all finished and together. Okay, both of my claws are secured on. A round of applause from Laguna to you. Congratulations, you have completed your little Laguna crab. Came out so cute. I hope you found this tutorial super helpful. I had so much fun working this with you, and I have to say, I think Laguna is really quite the cutie. I hope you'll also check out LYKKE's other AMITAMI kits that are available, and I will be seeing you in another video soon. Thank you. Bye!